When you hear Texas, what do you think of? A chiseled and tanned John Wayne-esque cowboy riding a horse across an empty desert under a golden sunset? A towering border wall patrolled by men in bulletproof vests holding large guns? A capital city filled with liberal hippies drinking microbrews and listening to live music, surrounded by a sea of Republican counties? This isn't a podcast about those Texas stereotypes. Instead, we're going to tell you stories about Texas that you don't know. And we're doing that by taking a road trip along Texas's main artery, Interstate 35. From the people who brought you the orange tree, an in-depth look at a murder at the University of Texas at Austin, 35 tells the stories about the black men who rode the Chisholm Trail, helped tame the Wild West, and gained rodeo titles across the country.
There's so many different stories of why the black cowboys never got recognition, but the ultimate one is just pure racism and segregation.
About a town on the Mexican border that spends a month celebrating one of the nation's most patriotic figures, George Washington.
The celebration has such a hold on the port of Laredo that, you can't pick up a newspaper without knowing that it's happening. You can't, go run an errand without noting that the celebration is on.
About how a city with a liberal reputation is actually founded on segregation and displacement.
It started like this whole really negative domino effect that happens to us because we lose our mom and pop grocery stores, our economic base. We began to lose our housing. We lose our cultural assets that are in our communities and our celebration.
And about the fiberglass statues that dominated American roadways in the 1960s.
When I was a kid, everybody was always stopping and taking pictures, and everybody just thought it was kind of a cool thing to have, especially my dad. We used to call him his idols. We thought he loved the big people more than he loved us.
I'm Sarah Schleid, a student journalist at the University of Texas at Austin. I've lived in Texas my whole life, but I've never really felt much like a Texan. I wanted that to change, so I decided to take a road trip to learn more about my home state and tell the stories I encountered in this multi-part podcast series about one of Texas's most prominent highways. Subscribe to 35 from the Drag Audio Production House wherever you get your podcasts.